Hello, it's me, Stephanie, and today me and Maui are going to be going over the latest Doctor Who episode. Let's get Maui in here.
Do something with your Sonic. You were doing something with your Sonic. I jumped the gun.
You ruined my bit.
I ruined it. No. It was a good bit. It was too good. It was too convincing. I was like, no, you're supposed to do the thing with the Sonic.
I was doing something with Sonic.
Oh my God, it was too good.
It worked. I got you here.
I'm here. That is. Wait. Do it again. I want to see this. It spins, y'all.
It does spins. 2 things. It does the classic Sonic sound, and then it also spins.
Oh, that is a cool Sonic. That is a damn good Sonic.
And it also moves this way. I don't know why though.
I
can hold it different ways.
I really love Jodie's Sonic.
I do too. I think Capaldi's is my favorite so far, just because it's cool and it looks like the TARDIS, and
it's a lot. It's really big.
I think this one is still my favorite, and this one lights up 2 different colors too.
But it feels like it's compensating for something. It feels like Capaldi was compensating for something. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. Joke is old as time.
Just saying. So we finally got some new Doctor Who.
Feels weird.
It feels weird. It's been a while, and I wasn't happy with the last one, so I was hesitant. But I also felt that a 6-part miniseries is more in Chibnall's wheelhouse.
Yes, you said that last stream.
Yeah, so I had high hopes for this. I'll give my non-spoiler review, as I think it's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit confusing.
Isn't that just Doctor Who?
But but not necessarily a good confusing.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree.
The scenes, the first half hour, 40 minutes, the scenes felt so unrelated. I was kind of confused as to what actually was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I think I quite enjoyed it, especially knowing that this is basically a 8-hour film. We're just getting the very first part.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not supposed to know what a lot of this stuff means yet. It'll all kind of come together. It actually reminded me of the Torchwood Children of Earth mini series. Is kind of what I was thinking about when I was watching it. So that's my non-spoilery, just kind of thoughts on the first episode. What about you?
I echo a lot of your thoughts. I thought the pacing, especially in the first half, was kind of off. But also, here's the thing that bothers me about watching Doctor Who here in America, is the pacing always seems off because they stick random commercials in, and it throws off the whole thing. And this one had so many fucking commercials, and you can tell that they're not supposed to be there because when when you watch it in the UK, it's just an hour of television without any interruptions. So that might be part of the reason that the pacing was a little weird. But when it all started to kind of come together in the second half, I was like, okay, I'm feeling Doctor Who-y now,
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So
I will also say Jodie was great. And her chemistry with Yaz was better than ever.
I know. Oh, we were watching the first half where it's just the 2 of them, and I was like, man, I want this guy to come in. I am so vibing with these 2 ladies right now.
Yeah. Though I will say, I liked Dan more than I thought that I would.
I'm still deciding how I feel about him.
Yeah, I think there's more to kind of be revealed. He seems in over his head. He didn't come in like the guy that's going to save the day, swashbuckler. He didn't feel like that at all, so I appreciated that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, the Carvanista, right? Was that the dog person's name, Carvanista?
I don't remember.
But I love him.
That was such a strange character. I like him too because there's kind of all these layers where you're like, is he evil? Is he good? Is he evil? And then it all kind of comes together when the doctor's like, man's best friend, and I'm like, ah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I liked that. So let's so we're going to kind of go through like this like the main beats of the show. So we're gonna get into spoiler territory now. So here on out it's spoiler city, so everybody knows. Um and we're gonna kind of go through segment by segment and then kind of talk about it and kind of break it down. We open with the Doctor and Yaz like in the middle of an adventure. Um Tied up, suspended on this gravity pole for who knows why, by this being called Carvanista. And it's this death trap. There's acid below. There's like killer drones behind them. And if they escape, the planet's about to blow up. It's this whole thing. It's very confusing. But it's a really exciting opening.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so what did you think about this whole opening sequence, like the escape sequence?
I'm just so glad that I watched Doctor Who with the captions on, or I would have not fucking understood what was going on. They were talking so fast and about so many different things, and a lot of it was like kind of exposition-y, like, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen because I did this, and it's like you're explaining it to Yaz, but she was there, so you're explaining it to us. You know, great way to get your heart pumping right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was a little too, like we got to catch the audience up to speed.
Yes.
What about you?
Well, what I liked though, it felt like I missed a season because who knows how long
Yeah.
the Doctor and Yaz have been together, but it felt like they have been traveling together for quite some time,
Mm-hmm.
just one on one. That felt established very strongly out of the gate.
Yeah, that's a
And I
good
really appreciated that, but also like I'm hoping that this means that we're going to get a lot of Big Finish audio dramas with 13 and Yaz in
Yeah.
their adventures, like like what happened in between the end of last season and Flux. Um yeah, really dug this opening. What's next? There's Dan Lewis. I think after they escape, we see Dan Lewis going about his day. This guy from Liverpool. He's talking about Liverpool at like this museum about how great Liverpool is and how they have like science and art and the football team, club, sorry, football club, and all that. Interesting opening. He's not supposed to be there. He doesn't actually work at the library. He's just some dude who likes Liverpool a lot. I was like, okay. But he has a thing going with the lady that does work at the museum, Di, um, which was awesome. I loved their chemistry. I was like, I want to just like don't have him be on Doctor Who. Just give him and Di a
Yeah.
series where they just like have like a romance. Like
Yep.
I
Oh
was
yeah.
instantly like, oh, they're adorable. I love everything about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I loved that too. It was so funny because I looked over at Abby, my fiance at that time, and I was like, "That's you," because she's a librarian.
mhm.
But if we're at a library and she's not working, or a bookstore even, or a thrift store even a couple times, and someone's like, "Do you have any book recommendations?" She'll like go off, and I have to be like, "Abby, you don't work here." So
I
very
remember when we
relatable.
had dinner like a month ago, and I got some hardcore book recommendations. I was like, oh wow, this is happening.
If you
This is
ask her, you got to be prepared.
this is not a joke. And also fiance. Oh, that's fiance is that's cute. I'm married, so whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you win this time, Jones.
Yes, for now. um, what were some of the other pieces that we saw? We also saw that lady and her boyfriend, and there's like the floating thing in their shed, and she breaks that and says, "No, they didn't call or something." That was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't understand what that was about at all. This is a trend throughout this episode, not really understanding what these individual pieces mean.
Yeah.
Doctor and Yaz get to Earth, and this lady runs up, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're here!" And she obviously knows the Doctor and Yaz, but they don't know her. And she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
like I guess we haven't met yet."
And she's like weird about it too,
She's
right?
super weird about it. And I think she's weird about it because somehow she knows that when they meet, so shortly after this, the next time we see her, I'm going to go a little bit out of order here because I'm wondering what exactly this sequence means. But the next time we revisit that lady, she gets home and there's a weeping angel outside of her place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also, I was talking about how not scary weeping angels have become over the subsequent uses. This was terrifying. This was like the
In the
weeping
dark.
angels that I love. Just turn away, look back, boom, it's like in your face.
But why was she turning away?
This
Like, lady,
woman,
you could unlock your door without looking away.
she kept looking away.
I know. I was
Especially the last one when she was like, "You've opened your door. You need to take 2 steps back and close it."
exactly.
And she blinks for seemingly no reason, just like blinks. I was like, why?
Yeah, it was pissing me off. I was like,
Yeah.
just lean down. You don't have to look at your keys to pick them up. Just lean down and pick them up. Anyway,
So
yes.
I'm wondering if she knows, but no, this doesn't make any sense either because it would be in her future, not her past. I was like, maybe because she went back in time, she knows them, but or maybe they go to warn her at an earlier point in her timeline that when they meet, an angel's gonna throw her in the past. I'm very
Mm,
confused at this. I'm
I
very
didn't even
confused
think
as
about
to
that.
like the timeline of when she met them because I was wondering if like her meeting them meant she knew that her time was up
Yeah,
and
and
that
then
an
not
angel was about to
recognizing her,
displace her.
like a river thing. Yeah.
Right. But if that's the case, they will never be able to talk to her again. Like if it's the same as with Amy, if she met them in that time and she gets displaced, that means like the Doctor and the TARDIS can't go near her, right? So effectively, her any connection with her and the Doctor would be gone if that holds true.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's very confusing. And like I said, this is kind of the theme for this, and it's the first part of a 6-part miniseries. I don't think we're supposed to understand what's happening yet,
Yeah.
so I'm giving it leeway for now.
Mm-hmm.
But I am definitely intrigued at this point of the story. I will
Yeah.
say.
What were some of the other little bits?
Yeah. So moving forward, uh, Carvanista shows up at Dan's place. Like we see Dan. Like he was offered some soup. He's like, "Oh, no, I don't need soup." And then he goes home and he's like, "Should have took the soup. I got
Nobody
no
likes soup.
food."
I resent that statement. I love soup.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I was like, "Who doesn't like soup? Is that a thing in the UK where like do people in Liverpool hate soup?"
If there's anyone watching from Liverpool,
It's
you
like,
hate soup.
yeah, like do they not sell soup in Liverpool? Please let us know in the comments.
And then this guy bursts through his door and is
Yeah,
like, nice costume.
right. Well, first and then before that, there was the really random sequence where the kids came for candy. He didn't have soup, but he had candy, and he had other food. And he gave away his candy. He should have ate the damn candy.
And then there's some random guy with eggs and a alcohol.
And that dude knocked the second he closed the door. Like there was no like the kids walk away and then this dude walks up. That dude must have already been on the steps,
like
slightly to the right. And the second he closed the door, he's like, doo, doo, doo. And if that's the case, he knew that dude just gave away his last candy. And he knows the people in Liverpool hate soup. So what was he expecting to get? I don't know. And why did he have a carton of eggs?
Yeah, and then what's his face dog man bursts through the door. It's just I'm wondering if white men have so much confidence that they react to these kinds of situations just calmly.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Because like if that was me, I'd be like, I'm the first one to die in this story. I
yep,
need to get the F out of here.
I would be scared by the drunk dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never
He was
mind.
just like, don't throw eggs in my house. Also, his accent like quadruples when he's like riled up. When he's like, don't throw eggs in my house. It was like the thickest accent. It was hilarious. Carbonista busts in. He's just like weird costume.
Yeah.
Didn't care the dude broke his door.
He goes up poking his nose. I'm like,
Yeah, he's like touching his face. I was like, what is
call the
happening?
police. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's super weird. And not in
It's
a
super
way that
weird.
like I hate. I kind of like how goofy that sequence was. Like it kind of reminded me of like the Russell T Davies era where like people just have like weird reactions to shit.
Pizza.
Right. Like clearly plastic Mickey raised zero bells with Rose, who's supposed to be really sharp, which is why the doctor loves her so much. Her boyfriend, a
Exactly.
man that she's been intimate with, couldn't tell that his skin was plastic and he was obviously suffering from some severe mental issue at this point. Didn't care. This man was
Ah!
plastic and highly concussed. I don't know. Well, whatever.
She's just like, yep.
Yep.
That's how Dan was. He just said, yep.
Yeah,
Poke, poke,
okay.
poke.
Carvanista like forcefully kidnaps Dan.
Puts him in a little box. That was
Puts him in
cool.
that was a cool special effect.
Yes.
I really dug that special effect. We then move back to the lady again, I believe.
Wait, did you skip the part where the doctor has the vision? Has that happened yet?
No, yeah, that happens early on. She has this
Yeah.
weird vision, and this guy who apparently has been imprisoned since the dawn of the universe is talking in her head, and he's like, we have been dancing through space and time forever, la 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 la. And she's like, I have no idea who you are, which means I think that this is a big bad from her time pre First Doctor, like Timeless Child era.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Is that right?
I wanted to hear them say that though.
Which is just part one, so there's going to be, needlessly obtuse about everything.
I said this last episode, I'm just really worried that they're going to completely ignore that timeline. Like, really worried, completely ignore that storyline. So I'm holding my breath about it.
I feel like this is like directly spinning out of some of the stuff, some of the Timeless Child stuff. I think that her past that she doesn't even remember is coming back to haunt her.
Oh yeah, because she does.
Because she's like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know you, but clearly this dude knows her.
Mm-hmm.
So is this like her like pre First Doctor master kind of, relationship? I don't know.
I was waiting for him to reveal and be like the master or something.
I'm wondering if he's from her universe, right? Because she's from another universe, apparently, according to Timeless Child. Spoilers for Timeless Child. Because like he like absorbed that person's energy and then like kind of regenerated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So is he from her original universe?
Maybe.
So,
and while we're talking about him,
mm-hmm.
I love his character design.
It's cool with like the crystals.
It's like scary. It's like genuinely good makeup,
Mm-hmm.
and it's different from the things we've seen before. It's like memorable, which a lot of villains recently have not been very memorable, as we talked about last week. Yeah. So I'm like digging the design.
It's the first like villain in the Chibnall era where I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. However, spoiler warning, when we visit that lady again, this dude shows up and disintegrates her boyfriend, and then
Yeah, the couple.
reveals that she is actually his sister, and so she changes into his sister. So love his makeup, love his character design, fantastic. His sister, on the other hand,
What you got against her?
her makeup is terrible.
Why?
It is so bad. The color, like the ombre on her face, like the white to like pink, it looks cheesy AF.
That's just how they put on makeup in that society. That's just their makeup.
That's not makeup. That's just her face.
You know.
He didn't apply makeup to her when he like transformed her. And if he did, she should be mad at him because he made her look like some weird alien clown.
That's a very brother thing to do, so.
Yeah, maybe. um yeah, so there's that whole sequence. What did you think about her?
She didn't. I mean, there wasn't much of her.
Wait, your mom said so rude.
Which one of us being rude?
Wait, I think she's saying I'm being rude. I'm saying that the makeup, that the character design on the sister is terrible. She deserved better. Justice for weird dude sister. Because I don't remember their names yet. I will
Hashtag
get
justice for weird dude's sister.
I will get there. Yeah. You know what? She's a Maui. I'm owning it, Becky. I'm owning it. There's also these scenes with this guy named Vendor, who gets caught in the flux.
He's
Right.
my favorite.
So we see that the flux is this like huge cloud that is just devouring planets like that, like nothing. And he is at an outpost called Outpost Rose, which I'm wondering if that's a little call out for, Rose Tyler. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I would assume so, because you can't use the word Rose in Doctor Who without thinking about that.
Nope.
And the Flux show up, devour the planets that he is watching, and he gets devoured in the Flux. But apparently he's still in there and not dead. So maybe those planets aren't destroyed. I don't know. Your mom said I was so happy when he didn't die. Me too, because I thought he was super engaging, super interesting.
Yeah, I thought he was like my favorite kind of side thing they had going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is he?
No idea what he's doing, what his role is in the show, why he was watching those planets. Once again, like we're getting all these snippets of things, but no context. Mm-hmm. That guy, is played by the guy who was Grey Worm on Game of Thrones. For those who watch Game of Thrones, you've not watched Game of Thrones, right? Yeah. He's really great. He's like the leader of the Unsullied, which is this like super elite group of warriors. They are castrated at birth and just trained to be the ultimate warriors.
Wow.
Yeah. Jacob Anderson is that actor's name, and I just love that actor. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, my mom said in the comments, did he get sucked up by the?
I thought he was stuck in the flux.
It seemed like he was escaping it just outside of the flux, so you'd kind of assume that he'll get sucked up by it, but hasn't yet.
But like we see him at the end, and he's still bouncing around. So like, is he just like barely outside of like escape velocity or something? Like I thought he was like caught in the swarm, in an escape pod. I don't know.
If he's not caught up in it, it's like very close.
Yeah. What did you think about the TARDIS in this episode? Because the TARDIS is dripping black goo. The door is moving. The TARDIS is something's wrong. Seriously wrong with the TARDIS.
So here's the thing about Doctor Who. TARDIS is one of my favorite bits of it because there's so many different things you can do with it, but there's still that classic when the cloister bell rings, you're in trouble. Yeah. And I like something nerdy inside of me always flutters when the cloister bell goes off because it's such a kind of a classic Doctor Who warning. moment that something's shit's gonna go down. And TARDIS might as well be my favorite Doctor Who character. So, yeah, something's going on. I'm worried about her, especially when she like wasn't working, because that's never good.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was one of the most exciting things about the episode for me, especially when they like opened the door and had to crawl out of the floor. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting for sure. At the end of this, well, there's a whole sequence where they get back, they get into Carvanista's ship and save Dan. This is where we find out the Carvanista is not actually a villain, but I was confused as to why there was a whole message with him saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna blow up the Earth." Like at the beginning, it felt pretty clear, and maybe I need to rewatch it, and maybe it's just like clever wordplay that could work either way. But we find out that he's not there to destroy the Earth; he's there to save the human he is in charge of. That each one of his race, the Labari or Lapari or something like that.
Yeah, me and Abby were talking about that too, because maybe you can answer this. Why did he have the Doctor and Yaz tied up at the beginning if he's not even a bad guy?
No idea. I was very confused at
Yeah,
that.
and I mean they kind of went through what happened, but I already can't remember because it was all so rushed.
Right. And once we're done with this recap and we kind of talk about our more of our detailed thoughts about the episode as a whole, I think for me the big thing is a lack of focus in this first episode that hopefully will change as we continue, but right now like there's just too many things happening. And I'll explain why I think that's a bad thing, but also a good thing within the context of this episode. But yeah, so they figure out that disagreement. Oh yeah, and then Becky said, and then why did he try to kill them again? Yeah, it was very confusing.
Yeah, and also, if these dog people are assigned to humans to keep us safe, where have they been all the other times that the Earth almost got blown up by someone?
Right. When were
Is this
they
a new
assigned to
thing?
protect humanity, and why is it only until the Flux show up that they are rushing to save people? Because
That
there have
might
been
just be a
plenty of other
plot
times.
hole.
Like literally, the Master took the entire Earth.
Like, literally.
Yeah, where was he then?
Didn't the Earth also get completely removed from our solar system once?
Yeah, by the Master in series 3.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. No, that's series 4.
Or series 4.
Where the Earth gets moved.
Sorry, series 4, the Daleks. See, I'm mixing up my
Your finale.
Series 3, the Master takes over the entire planet and has them under lock and key
and then
with
the
the Takla
special,
fan.
all the humans turned into the Master. It's like there's plenty of other dire situations here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's another thing that's weird. But that happens all the time though. Like every time they have like a big universe ending thing, and then there's this oh, here are these people that are charged to protect the universe, but they've never shown up before. If they were trying to be more consistent, every time something happened, like 8 different sets of people would show up to save the day, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of have to suspend my disbelief for those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's ridiculous. So after that, we get I think the dude gets into her head again and talks to her some more, shows her some images. Oh, I forgot about that weird scene in the 1800s or whatever too.
Yeah.
Or the 1600s.
What's going on?
That random thing at the very beginning.
I had no idea what was going on. It's like my brain turned off for that scene. I couldn't understand anything.
Yeah, there's so many threads. There's a ton of threads in this. So something is being built way back when, 500 years ago, like maybe it was like the 1600s or 1700s, something like that.
something like that.
They're building something that, like, if you understood the true purpose, it would melt your brain. And the dude was like, "All right, well, just stop being stupid." Like he didn't care. And that's when it jumps to Dan. So yeah, so there's also that plot thread. So there's a lot of different irons in the fire, obviously, in this. We basically they save Dan. The Flux shows up. They're being chased by the Flux. The Doctor tries to use vortex energy on the Flux. Flux is like, "Fuck your vortex energy."
Before we go on, can I just say that scene, that first scene between Dan and Yaz, was like probably my favorite scene in the whole episode.
Yes, explain why.
Explain why. I don't
Yes.
know. It just gave me good vibes. Like they were bouncing off of each other really nice. Yaz was like, "Yeah, I've done this a million times before." She's like an experienced companion now.
No
Like,
big deal. Yeah.
yep,
But when she saved him though, he just like, "Oh," he's like, "Nice one, girl." And she's
yeah.
like,
Don't
just
call
call
me.
me yes.
Yeah.
He's like, you check that girl shit at the door, sir.
Yep.
Appreciated that a lot.
That was like some solid dialogue there. I enjoyed it very much.
Yes. Yeah, she like looked at the case, like, looks like there are 9 fail safes. So it's just like, how do you know that? Like, how long? Once again, she has been with the Doctor. Like, the two of them have been adventuring for some time.
And she looks like there was like when the Doctor gives that huge spiel and she's like, "You go save Dan, I'll go do this." Yaz is like, "I'm so tired of your bullshit." What did
Yeah,
you
like, because like the Doctor wasn't listening to her.
Yeah. She's like, "Listen, like, you know how we all get just sick of our friends' bullshit sometimes."
Yeah, I know how that feels.
I'm gonna fight Maui.
No, I was joking.
Anyway, yes,
Yeah.
she uses the time vortex or
Time vortex protects the Earth with the dog ships. But they are trying to escape the Flux. It looks like all is lost. Credits. That's our first episode.
The TARDIS is stuck outside of the shield. I'm like, why didn't you just fly it inside the shield before all the ships lock together?
So that's the episode.
Did we miss any parts, Mom? Is there anything that we missed?
I think those are all the broad strokes. Like, okay, so let's talk about.
There were no broad strokes in this episode.
I think it's nothing but broad strokes. Actually, I think it's just too many broad strokes, and it doesn't focus in enough. And so, I would. Your mom was like, "Oh." Okay, so now that we've kind of like run through all of the things, what did you like? What didn't you like? What are you looking for going forward? Any like theories? Give me your rundown.
All right, like I said, I really liked the interactions between Yaz and Dan, because I'm also kind of nervous about him coming in, but I think they worked together well. I loved Jodie as always. Oh my god, she just talks so fast. She just goes on. This Jodie's Doctor is so quick, like just all the time. And I love that about her, even though it drives me crazy. That was what I liked how at the end, the very, very end, it reminded us of all the threads. So yeah, there's lots of threads going on, but it didn't like forget any of them. It acknowledged them all. They were like, okay, we promise this will all come together. It was kind of like one of those things, right?
The scene where when they're like looking at the and then it cuts to like every thread with a close up of their face looking into the middle distance intensely, like
yeah,
that was the most Chibnall thing I've ever seen. I was just like, this is the end of an episode of Broadchurch.
Yeah, I liked it though. I liked it because I'd forgot. It reminded me of parts of the show that I'd already forgotten about.
But you're right. Like that was like such a good thing where they're like, these are all the threads, these are all the people that are or that are being affected by the events of this. They will all be touched back upon. It's kind of like a promise that, like, okay, we've shown you all the pieces. Now we're going to start positioning
Mm-hmm.
them,
Yes.
including the weird dude with in the 1700s. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like that was like seriously the end of every episode of Broadchurch. Or like there's like
Everyone's
one
watching the
scene in
TV.
one
Yeah.
moment of every episode where it's just like, all right, we're gonna run through all the faces of all the people looking
Yep.
pained and stressed and sad.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that. You're right. Shit.
Yeah, it's a very Chibnall move. Like I could see him writing it in there, and then we do the Broadchurch montage. You
um,
Okay, so keep on.
what else? What I didn't like I said, I think the beginning was a little too like fed to us, a little too uh exposition-y. I felt like halfway through this episode, I was thinking like I know that Doctor Who is like a family show and meant to kind of be watched by the whole family, including kids, but it feels like at sometimes that Chibnall thinks we're all kids. Like it feels like we're being hand fed everything.
Mhm.
And I got that like I guess that just I noticed it for the first time in this episode that does Chibnall think we're stupid? Like does everything need to be said aloud? I can infer some stuff,
Mhm.
I can understand that the Doctor and Yaz are tied upside down because they got in trouble with a villain without you having to tell me the whole story of what happened with the
Mhm.
villain, you know. So that was kind of
Show,
my
don't tell. Instead
yeah.
of he's showing and telling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of my biggest problem with this
Mhm.
episode is I felt like everything was being spoon fed to us. Yeah, mom. So, um, what else did you ask? Well, you answer what you liked and what you
Yeah.
didn't like.
So the lack of focus thing, I liked it and I disliked it. And
Mm-hmm.
here's why. There's a moment where she says like I hate not knowing things. And this really gave you the sense of like there was so many things happening at once and it was so outside of what the Doctor knows that she was feeling kind of lost and swept up in all of this insanity.
Mm-hmm.
So it did a good job of that. The double-edged sword of that, though, was that I felt so lost that I was losing track of the threads.
Mm-hmm.
I still need to be able to follow the narrative, right? And I felt like I wasn't like I think I got it all, but there were so many things happening in so many different time periods and so many different characters that haven't met yet that it was really, really hard for me to kind of keep track of everything.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, even though this is like a series, like all the episodes are going to kind of run continuously, we're still seeing just one a week, so it still needs that build to a climax and that kind of resolution, and we didn't get that at all this episode. It was up and down and up and down and up and down.
Hmm. And if
So
I'm binging it and I can just go straight into the next episode, like I'm amped to see what's next, but now I have to wait a week.
yeah,
Right.
it's kind of rough. I feel like we didn't get any resolution. We're just kind of floating around. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that was a long episode too. Was that like an hour and a half? Like, are each one of these like 90 minutes?
With the commercials, we watched it later, so we got to fast forward through the commercials, and it was only like an hour, under an hour.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. Um, what else did I like? I really like you said, I really liked the villain, the division, I think is the the name of the group. There's
Yeah.
the division, the Flux, the Carvanista, and the Lupari, I think is what they were called. So there's like a lot of different like moving pieces, but like I really liked that guy. The design, I really liked his presence
Mm-hmm.
as well.
And
I
I liked how he was communicating with the Doctor too.
Yeah, it did kind of remind me though of the Master last season.
Mhm.
a little bit in the finale of the previous season.
Oh, yeah, because that was also kind of an in her head thing.
Yeah. So that did feel a bit uh repetitive for me, but I felt
Mhm.
like it was more effective in this than it was previously, so I'm like willing to kind of like overlook that. Um I It's funny that you mentioned the kid thing with how he kind of spoon feeds stuff cuz I agree with that, but at the same time everything feels so muted and dour that it also feels like he's not making it for kids, but he's treating us like kids. Like it doesn't look like a
Yeah.
show that a kid would want to watch
Mhm.
because it feels a little too grown up, a little too elevated.
Yeah.
There's no, even like though like it looks gorgeous and everything, I still don't feel the sense of wonder that I'm looking for.
Mhm.
It's like Dune, like the new Dune film. Like I've not watched it yet, but like every frame I see of it, like that looks beautiful and also really boring. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how I feel with like the design these days on Doctor Who. Is like that's really beautiful, but also it's really boring. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
capture my imagination.
There's that moment where they're sitting Dee Dee. Deacon's here to put in his 2 cents.
Yes.
There was that moment where they were standing with the TARDIS door open and space was all around them, and those are always really beautiful shots. And I liked it, and it kind of panned, and that was pretty cool. But I was just reminded of that moment where they did that with Amy, where the doctor like let her go, and her hair was all over the place. She was floating, and he was holding on to her, and I was like, "This is a nice moment," but it's reminding me of a more magical moment.
Yes. And like they could do a very mundane shot in those days and like completely have me like the shot when she's looking at the apple and everything slows down just for a second and like there's like a slight lens flare and she's like in like all and you feel like she's believing in magic again
Mhm.
in that moment, right? Like I think that season production wise is like the best the Doctor Who has ever been
The
in terms of like
cinematography
how
was
it looks.
beautiful.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
I agree with you.
Yeah. But yeah, those are the things I liked, the things I disliked. Dan surprised me. Like your mom said, I like Dan better than I thought I would. I did too.
Yeah,
I actually was like, okay, like I'm cool with Dan because it doesn't feel like he's like gonna overshadow Yaz. It feels like Yaz is like strong and confident, and he's gonna be the person like, what's happening?
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
understand. I appreciate that.
Which is good because Yaz is such a strong presence. We need a foil to her. So,
Yes. Um, I also wouldn't be mad if they gave him kind of like you haven't watched the show, I don't think, but the Ted Lasso treatment, right? Like Ted Lasso, the way it deals with masculinity on screen, I think is pretty revolutionary. And so I'm hoping that he gets something like that too, like where maybe he is a bit problematic at first, but like learns and evolves as it
mhm.
goes. I felt like there might be a bit of foreshadowing with that when he called her girl.
Yeah,
But that also could just be his like Liverpool blue collar kind of way.
yeah.
Um, but interested to see if they address that.
Mhm.
And that would be kind of meta if they address toxic masculinity on a show that has dealt with a lot of toxic masculinity attacking it because a woman is now in the role as a doctor.
Mhm. I would
Um,
also enjoy that.
Last thing before we sign off, any do you have any theories, or if not theories, any hopes or like wild predictions for the next few episodes?
Hmm. I think I've talked about this before, but I watch shows very passively, so I don't theorize a bunch
Hmm.
because I like to be surprised.
Hmm.
So not many theories, but hopes. I just want to see. It's like we've got all these threads now, and I want to see them all come together into one story. Like obviously, that's all what we really want,
Hmm.
but if done correctly, it'll be totally worth it and amazing. Like in Broadchurch,
Yeah.
and all the things came together in the last episode. It's just like, oh, and I want to have that moment so badly.
Yeah. Is it this time I want to remind people that I solved Broadchurch halfway into the series?
Yeah, Maui got big brain. We get it.
I was very happy when I was right. I was like, "Oh my god, I called!" I was like shook because I was like, "No, there's no way," and then it happened. I was like, "Yes." Um. So yeah. So like I said, my predictions is that this bad guy is someone that she went against in a previous like prior to the first Doctor, like timeless child era, which is what I'm calling like those that era of the Doctor, those incarnations of the Doctor, the timeless child era Doctor. um I'm wondering if he's from that time period. If so, will we in some way, shape, or form see Joe Martin's Doctor again? That would be really cool. See her again for a scene somehow,
That would
some
be
way.
really nice.
Like maybe a flashback to her like fighting that dude. Like maybe like she's the one who put him away.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be awesome because I love her and I need like so much more of her. Like I loved her Doctor so much. Um and I'm also wondering if he is going to team up with someone like, probably not the Master because the Master going, but maybe like I'm trying to think of who he could team up with that could pull together all these people. And like the Master kind of would have been perfect for that, but this incarnation of the Master I think is too out of control to kind of fulfill that role.
Yeah.
Um like if we still had like Missy would have kind of been perfect and said, "Well, why don't we just get the band together and get all of the Doctor's foes?" And I would like to see, because as cool as this villain is, I would like to see like a right hand from our era of Doctor Who.
I just remembered another thread that we forgot to talk about.
And did we seriously forget a whole nother
The
thread?
Suntarans.
Oh my god, you're right.
They were really ugly this time around.
Super ugly.
But what did
Yeah.
they even talk about? I have no idea.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I completely forgot about the Centaurans. Yeah, Centaurans were there too.
Yep. Anyway.
Yeah. But yes, like I'm trying to think of like a bad guy from either 12 or 11 or 10 or 9 that could reappear that would be a good right hand.
Mm-hmm.
That would know to like bring those people together, or maybe even further back, maybe from classic era, like maybe the Valyard or something like that.
That would be very interesting. I would love to see something with a Valyard.
Yeah, that could be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you so out of 5 TARDISes, how do you rank this premiere?
Oh, that's so hard because it was just like the first chapter of a whole book.
Yeah. Just on the merit of this first episode, how do you like how effective do you think it was? Like what would you give it?
I'd give it a 3 because it had its faults, but I'm excited. And at the end of the day, that's the biggest thing, like to get you hyped up for the next episode.
That is exactly my score as well. I think it's a 3. It's good, but it's too just disjointed for me to like say that it's great. Like 4 and 5 to me is like really good and then like perfection, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is just good. It has enough shortcomings that like I have to knock it a bit, but I was entertained
Yeah.
the entire way through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to see what happens next.
Exactly.
Cool,
I
cool.
forgot to tell Abby, because remember last time we did a show, I didn't know that this was going to be a series.
Yeah.
That this is just a one-off. So I forgot to tell Abby that, because she thought the same thing. So at the end of the episode, she was like, what? And I was like, oh, I forgot to tell you. It's coming on next week, too.
It's 6-week event.
Which means one of them will be at Chicago TARDIS. I am so pumped.
Wait, does that mean we like Do you think we'll be able to like watch it at Chicago TARDIS?
It's happened before. They live stream it in the big room.
This is going to be my first time going to. Well, it's my first time officially going to the Chicago TARDIS. I've snuck in for Brit Rock Karaoke, the famous Brit Rock Karaoke, which is hosted by my dear friend. But this will be my first time attending. So I'm really excited for
That
that.
means
So
you have
yeah,
to come Sunday, though.
yes. To see if I can get the entire because that's a lot of holiday time,
That
and
yeah.
so I gotta see if the family lets me do that. But yeah, that's exciting.
It's so awesome. I think the only other time that it's lined up where we all got to watch an episode together was during Heaven Sent, I think. And since that was one of 12's best episodes, it was amazing to watch it with a group of Doctor Who fans.
Okay, cool.
I think it was that one. It was one of 12's really good episodes, but yeah, it's awesome. So I'm really
Love
excited
it.
for that. Come to Chicago TARDIS, viewers.
Yes, I'm very excited to go to Chicago TARDIS. All right, so that's it for us this week. We'll see you next week after it airs. It's airing early, so it's like in like two in the afternoon. We were both a bit too busy to do it like right after it was over, but we'll try and get it like a little closer to like right after it airs for next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, watch the space. Your mom said it was the episode where 12 died over and over.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't remember what that one was
Yeah.
called.
Isn't that Heaven Sent?
That's what my brain tells me.
Yeah, I think it's called Heaven Sent. That's a great episode too.
It is. It
Like
is.
just to watch like Capaldi like monologue all over the place. That's
Oh
pretty
god,
good.
I gotta rewatch that.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that actually. Like that would be fun. It would be fun to do like a rewatch. Maybe we just like start with just like nine, just go through nine's series and rewatch all of those and do we can do a reaction where we're watching it.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would
Because
take
I've
a long
always wanted
time.
to do those, and that would be a really fun one to do, to revisit those, especially because like they're so cheesy compared to like now. So like there's a lot of elements that don't hold up, but like the writing and like the monologues and like the acting is fantastic.
The doctor is just
Yeah, but then also you get Plastic Mickey,
and then the Celine and stuff. So
yes, the fart monsters, yes. So yeah, we should talk about that. We should do that. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Have a great night.
yes.
We'll see you next week
See you next
for
week.
part 2. Bye.
Bye.